Greetings everyone, welcome aboard. It's March 16th, 2011, your Wacky Wednesday. Hope you guys had a great day with us in the room this morning. Here's your live trading recap. Now again, Wacky Wednesday, what is it? This is the Wednesday of OPEX. So Saturday is when options expire. Now this time of year, this is quadruple witching, which means we have 4 different asset classes expiring. Now every other month during OPEX, it's just 3, right? It's triple witching. Well, 4 times a year, it's quadruple witching, right? 4 different asset classes expiring. Now, we also know, combine that with the end of the first quarter, and we have a recipe for a disaster waiting to happen Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. Now, Wacky Wednesday, options expire on Saturday, last day of trading for equities, right? Stocks, futures, options on Friday, which means you're not going to start doing that on Friday morning. You're going to begin the process of balancing your portfolio, unwinding positions, right? Getting ready for options expiring on Saturday morning. And you're going to start that today. So we call it Wacky Wednesday because it's lots of unexpected volume. And that may not sound like a big deal, but the problem is that when we don't know what to expect, we lose confidence. And so what happened this morning was, knowing this going into the day, we knew to be a little bit more skeptical, right? A little more skeptical, okay, as far as big buyers, because we knew some big buyers may show up, but that may not be to trigger the trade. That may just be because of Wacky Wednesday. Now, we had a little bit of what I call kind of an aggravating, right, situation, and that was today. We had some news out of Japan this morning, later on in the day, right? But the big deal this morning was waiting to see what was going to go on today, right? We had news early this morning, but very low volume, really low volume, right? We're talking about, right, instead of the spigot being turned on all the way like usually is, right, it's dripping out of the faucet. So very low volume. And what happens on a low volume day on Wacky Wednesday is you've now got Wacky Wednesday is now magnified. Okay, so we got real slow speed, real low volume. But then out of nowhere, right, boom, we see big buyers or big sellers. Now, if we could time that correctly, this would be great. But the problem is, I'm looking for an entry long, right? I see big buyers. That may not be the big buyers that I want to get into this trade. So it kills our confidence. We don't know which big lots to trust and which ones not. And then the fact that it was real slow today, that meant the lows, right, the slow times were really slow. And then all of a sudden, right, we saw all this volume pick in and then go right back to slow volume again. So that was the challenge today. And we began our day by reading tape, right? Now, tape reading, it gives us all that information about what to expect. I'm reading the tape. I'm looking at things like, right, the big money orders that come in, the speed of the tape. I'm looking at the condition. Are we seeing large buyers or small buyers, big sellers or small sellers? And one thing we saw right away this morning was that we were getting 4 or 5 ticks up, 6 or 7 ticks back down, right? 7 or 8 ticks back up, make a new high, right? Then come back down 7 or 8 ticks. So we noticed right away, right? We were seeing 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, right? 11s, 10s, 9s, right? 13s, 14s, 15s, right? 13s, 10s, 8s, right? So we're making 1 or 2 tick new highs, but then coming right down off those highs. Right, I equated it to, right, jumping into a pool of water and it being too cold, right? I don't want to get in, right? That's how it felt watching tape today. It felt like you had the buyers there that would bubble up, right, give it 1 or 2 ticks more, right, new highs, and then it would, right, it would fall asleep. Okay, so that was the challenge we saw on the tape this morning. And because of that, I said to my guests and members this morning, guys, we're probably not going to get much in the fast track today. Okay, the fast track, we need to have those, right, 10 to 15 ticks of room. And so the concern this morning was, with Wacky Wednesday, reading tape really did a good job at preparing us for what was likely to be a disaster waiting to happen. And we did the right thing, too, because we read tape early this morning, and because of what the tape was telling us, we skipped a couple fast track trades, and what did you see, right? It went down 6 or 7 ticks in your direction, then bounced, right, would have bounced you out, and then came down. And so we avoided a lot of losses like that today, just simply reading tape and kind of putting that into context, right, for what the day looked like today. All right, guys, so tape reading gave us a great clue, and that told us to be careful on the fast track today because we're not getting those, right, those strong moves. Now on the gold this morning, had a great price channel on gold, bought the lows of it, sold the highs. It was actually a really easy price pattern on gold. Only problem was, didn't get much speed today on gold, right? Gold pretty much kind of tagged along on the dollar this morning, which is pretty slow. Now crude was really tough. Now we kind of expected crude to be a little bit challenged today, didn't we? We had 10:30 news on crude, right? 10:30 inventories mean we're going to be always a little bit concerned about Wednesdays. But now being a low volume, wacky Wednesday, boy, as you can imagine, there were lots of issues with fake out breakouts, lots of issues with speed, lots of issues with unexpected volume cutting out of nowhere, right? And fooling us. Okay, so we knew this was going to happen today. And we also knew to be patient and wait till after 10:30, because after 10:30 the personality often changes, and we actually got a little bit of a gift from the trading gods today. We got a little bit of a gift from the news chatter this morning. About 11 o'clock this morning, we hear from Japan. We've got concerns of critical levels of the nuclear power plant there. I guess out of control. So we start seeing these weird, right? Well, not weird, obviously, but we see these news events that come out at us, and we're going, okay, well, some news out of Japan, and all of a sudden crude tumbles. And it was strange because I'm looking at it going, now why would concerns in Japan make crude tumble? And I think what happened was, I think people just overreacted and just started selling everything they possibly had. So crude tumbled, we grabbed that trade short. I skipped the first third of the trade down because, again, I was pretty much, my mind was made up. This thing was going to be a fake out to the downside and then go back up. We had already seen inventories were lower than expected. We saw PPI was higher than expected. And then now here we have some warning out of Japan about the nuclear power plant being out of control. I'm thinking this price should be rising. After about 5 minutes, though, I had to trade what I saw rather than what I thought I knew, and that got me into the final trade of the day here after 11 o'clock on the crude. Okay, the big word of the day, though, today, guys, was low volume on Wacky Wednesday. Now, again, this is the Wacky Wednesday of OPEX on quadruple witching, so everything is kind of kicked up a notch. Normally, a Wacky Wednesday, look back at our track record, most Wacky Wednesdays are really good. We usually see some pretty good volume, but today it was kind of, like I said, it was kind of an aggravated situation with the low volume, end of the first quarter, quadruple witching, right? It's a Wednesday, so we got crude oil inventories, right? I mean, as you can imagine, there were numerous red flags going into today's trading session that told us, if you're trading live, be careful. If you're on a demo, right, make sure you're treating this as a live account and be careful today. All right, guys? So that was the word of the day there, guys. Low volume there on Wacky Wednesday. Now, take a look here. Here's what we did today. Okay, now obviously here, no fast track trades.